moving over to the men's side of things. When Novak won his first round on Tuesday, I stated that I didn't think he was playing great. I was worried about him. He didn't seem engaged. Fast forward to today, I feel like he looked incredible, and I'm changing my sentiment, and now I'm going to say I think Novak's the overwhelming favorite to win the tournament after watching him today. What do you think about Novak's game after watching him today compared to last week and kind of the year that he's having?
Geez, Sam, you're changing your mind like a fart in the wind, man.
Just with Novak. I could go back and forth with Novak. I just really got it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give you an example of kind of my version of what you just said. We did a live draw show. So the first time I was seeing the draw was kind of live on our podcast, and that was kind of fun. But it was weird how you kind of had to take into account what you're talking about a little bit. So I was going match by match. I'm like, well, I can't bet. I don't have the stones to actually bet against Novak in any one of these matchups, right? Musetti, you go through Tommy Paul. I love Tommy Paul. Is he ready? 3 out of 5 sets. And then I get to Zverev in the semis, and I'm going, okay, well, Zverev is playing better, so maybe he's the favorite. But then I remember, if Novak makes the semis, he's a different animal. Like he's a completely different human, right? So it's hard to kind of check forward 12 days and then make your decision. So I had him go into the final, not because I think he's playing, a top 10 level at this moment, but if he gets to that quarters or the semis and he has 4 or 5 matches behind him, like hell, I'm going to bet against him. There's just no chance. So I think that's right. And we're going to kind of default to the person, since this draw on the men's side is so wide open. We can't put too much stock in the winners of the tournaments because half the favorites were there. People were default. It's the kind of toughest thing to get a grasp on form. And so the easiest way to go about it is, who do I want to bet against the least? And the name that stands out there is Novak. Especially because he's not dealing with an injury like a Sinner or an Alcaraz. I don't have him winning, but as I was kind of progressing through the draw, if he had to play Tommy Paul first round, I'm like, oh, well, Tommy's got a shot, but all of a sudden he's a week, 8 days in. It completely changes the way that you digest the matchups.
Yeah, and listen, he has a little bit on the line here, because if he doesn't win the tournament and, Jannik is there, he's going to be the world number 1 again. He will be the new world number 1 in Jannik Sinner, which is pretty amazing. And frankly, he has been the best player in the world on the ATP this year, Jannik Sinner. So if he does get there, he certainly deserves it. So just your thoughts, Andy, on the bottom half of the draw. Of course, it will be Sinner or Alcaraz. Probably. We don't know what's going to happen. Both of those two have struggled a little bit, as you said, with injuries. But just your thoughts on Jannik and how he looks, and also Alcaraz. And just my thing on Alcaraz, I felt like even, his last match where to De Jong, he just kind of like, he still has that youthful moments, right? Where he just kind of drifts off. I don't know where he goes. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, that's right. I got to finish this match off. Like, he still has that youthful sort of lack of, just zoning in sometimes and winning in 3 sets. So just your thoughts on those two guys and how they're looking.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all of the opinions coming in are purely based on health, right? Yep. We know Alcaraz can and will win this tournament. I had some question marks about Sinner on the surface, lost second round last year. And then I saw him play in Monte Carlo and the way that he was moving. And I'm going, okay, so that's kind of transitioned over. No problem. Yeah. I actually have Sinner winning. And I don't feel good about any prediction I made because it's so upside down. To Carlos specifically, in the question you're asking, I was with Agassi at the event we did in Vegas when Alcaraz played Nadal. And we kind of came to this consensus that the problem with having all the options is that it takes time to learn when to use all the options. Like dummies like me and Sam, it's like, okay, we're going to try to surf through you, and then we're going to try to smoke something. And, we move fine for guys that don't move great. Like that's kind of what we had to deal with, but we weren't hitting drop shots or floating or coming in. The options were limited, so it provided a little bit of clarity. With Alcaraz, it's like he's this combination of, Roger, Rafa, and Novak. And I think the more that he develops into Novak, where he can just lock you down, punch that back in, get the ball flight down, not feel like he has to be phenomenal every point that he wins, it's going to be worse for us as fans because it's so much fun to watch, even when he's going through those peaks and valleys like you're talking about. But I feel like once he gets that base level and trust the fact that he can play pretty badly and still win matches, I think that's when you see him just kind of go to another level. But man, he fun to watch. I get jealous when I see him hit the shots that he does.
Yeah, I like the description of you two being dummies. But anyway.
Love that description.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. I think let's throw Andy some. And I love the description on all of that, Andy. It's so fun. I have to say the depth in men's tennis now, the depth in women's tennis. It's nice to go into the French Open actually saying, I mean, on the women's side, it was very obvious who the favorite was in Iga, but it's nice to have these guys like, I don't know. I mean, Zverev, I've said Zverev's going to make the final. I don't think he's going to win because I think he chokes when it really matters, but he's certainly playing well. I mean, I'm just being honest. I did say that.
Stubbsy, don't hold back. Don't say it in a nice way. Just tell us what you think.
I mean, you know me, Andy. I'm a spade's a spade guy.